hi, I'm Arsha Vahabzada, reporting from CES 2018 at the Digital Health Live studio, and I am here with Eric Taub, who is a contributing writer to the New York Times. How are you doing there, Eric?
I'm well. How are you, Arsha?
Good, thank you. I heard there was a pretty outstanding panel that you just moderated.
Well, thank you. We had some very good people on the panel, and I think the subject itself was really interesting.
And a lot of kind of discussion around sensors and data, and
Right.
What do you make of it all? What's happening in this space?
Well, you know, there's so much talk now around sensors, particularly passive sensors. How are we going to use them for particularly the elderly and ill population to help understand medical conditions, to do it in a non-intrusive way, and to figure out patterns so that we can predict health events, hopefully before they happen. So can we monitor people's daily activities, see anomalies in them when they occur, create some kind of prediction model based on the individual as opposed to just sort of a gross model, and then be able to alert a caregiver that some action may need to be taken based on what we see happening that's outside of the norm. So there's been a lot of talk about that over the years. I think now that sensors are becoming smaller, less intrusive, and data is becoming much easier to aggregate and to analyze, that this segment is probably going to start taking off.
I think you made a very important point there. When you have the data, how do you actually get an insight that leads to an actionable step?
Right, and you don't want to overload anybody, whether it's a caregiver, a medical caregiver, or an adult caregiver with too much information that is not actionable and useless.
Let me ask you about design.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are very strong advocates of design. I know there's been some pushback recently from various directions. What's the role of kind of good design or good design thinking in the development of these products?
Well, I think particularly when you're dealing with an older population that loses its ability to use objects that they might have been familiar with a few years earlier, design and intuitive work is very important. And yet, while that sounds obvious, I know a number of companies I've dealt with that are in the medical space, that say, no, design's not important. All that's important is the functionality. But I don't particularly agree with that. I think if you're going to create something that is going to be widely adopted, then you need to create something that's easy to use, that you can figure out, that's part of your normal way of functioning in the world. You know, I remember when I have a grandchild who was, a few years ago, he was 4 years old, and he went over to the television and thought he could change channels by swiping, like he was using an iPhone. So that kind of intuitive work hopefully can be translated into an older population so that the actions they've been doing their entire lives can fit in with the new products that might be entering their lives as they age and they need more help.
So design is actually pretty critical, it sounds like.
I believe it is.
Well, thank you very much for your insights, Eric.
You're very
I appreciate
welcome,
it.
Arsha.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you.
This is Arsha Vahabzada reporting from CES 2018 at the Digital Health Live studio, presented by United Healthcare. Thank you very much, Eric.